We have two matrices here, and we're going to use a calculator to find a plus b, a times b, and the inverse of a. First of all, let's enter the matrices. You go second x inverse, which is matrix, and right arrow over to edit. And for a, you just hit enter when the one next to the a is highlighted, and put your dimensions as 2 by 2, and then put in all your entries. When you're done with A, double check that you entered them right, and then go second mode to quit out of there, and go back to matrix, and right arrow to edit again. This time arrow down to B, and hit enter, and then go ahead and enter B. So then quit out of that. Now to get a matrix to show up on the screen, just the name like A or B, you go second x inverse, and name should be highlighted, and then just arrow down till the matrix you want is highlighted. So I could do A, enter, and then for plus B I just type plus, then go get the B to show up. I get that A plus B is -2, -3, 1, -2, and just checking that in my head, that's correct. Okay, now let's do A times B. So get A to show up on the screen, and then do the B next. You don't need a times in between them, and hit enter. For A inverse, you need to use the X inverse button. So first of all, get the A to show up on the screen, and then just hit the X inverse. I tried putting it to the -1 power, and the calculator wouldn't take it, but it will take that X inverse. Now we'd like to solve this system of equations, and notice we can write this system in terms of matrices. So here's our A, it's the same A, and we're going to call the X and Y column vector as capital X, and the -1254 we're going to call capital B. So we have AX equals B. Now the power of matrix algebra is going to come into play. We're going to multiply both sides on the left by A inverse. We can do that because we know A has an inverse. It has to be on the left with both sides. Matrix multiplication is usually not commutative. Now A inverse times A is the identity matrix. That comes from the definition of inverse. The identity times anything is just that same thing. So we get that X equals A inverse times B. So we can solve for little x and little y by multiplying A inverse times capital B. So what we need to do is enter -1254 into B. So you go second X inverse, which is matrix, and then edit B. Change the dimensions to 2 by 1. Once you've entered it, quit out of there. Now we're at our main screen, and just type A inverse times B. We get that X equals 3 and -6, and you can check that if you're so inclined. You might wonder why we bother with reduced row echelon form if we could just use the inverse. It's actually less efficient to find the inverse and then multiply. It's more efficient to use the inverse only when we're solving many equations that all have the same coefficient matrix and we're just changing the constants. Otherwise, just use Gaussian elimination.